Hello, Night Nation. Trey Strelko joined by Adam Eaton here at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, the start of Big 12 Media Days, which began with Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark's opening remarks.
Interesting remarks today, Trace. He talked a lot about the future of the conference, very bullish on the future of the Big 12, very business focused. I don't think you hear that a lot in commissioners. Very focused on business, growing the brand, and adding value, Trace, which I thought was an interesting message overall.
And we heard from half of the league's coaches and players. There were breakout sessions as well as conversations from the podium and scrum. And you had an opportunity, as I did, to speak with some of the coaches and players that UCF will be facing this season.
Yeah, very complimentary of UCF. A lot of good conversation about Gus Malzahn, the kind of coach he is. A lot of folks excited to get to Orlando. Not everyone's coming to Orlando, of course, but excited to get to Orlando and face the Knights too. So overall, a lot of good compliments about this UCF team. We heard from a few different coaches that this league is wide open. I know Kyle Whittingham and Utah are the favorite right now, but a lot of coaches, Trace, think this league is really wide open this year.
Yeah, Utah, though, is confident, aren't they?
And they should be.
I mean, it's wide open, but Utah's players and coaches, they expect to win. They are the preseason favorite. But for the rest, they feel like they have a chance to be in that Big 12 championship game, perhaps against Utah.
Yeah, also a lot of impressive coaches. I mean, we had really good conversations with Matt Campbell, Mike Gundy, Kyle Whittingham, a lot of really impressive coaches. Kenny Dillingham was another impressive young coach. And so UCF's going to have its work cut out for him. I think this entire league, Brett Yormark said, this is going to be the deepest league in college football. I think some people raise their eyebrows if that's really true, Trace, but I think talking to the players and coaches here, I think you can really see how a lot of teams have an opportunity to make some noise in this Big 12 this year. Yeah,
UCF will open on the road at Fort Worth against TCU, third game of the season, so they and TCU will have played a couple of games, but Coach Dykes, TCU's head coach, and the players recognize, hey, they're at home, and each program, UCF and TCU, will want to get off to a 1-0 start in league play. So a very important game I think a lot of Knights fans are overlooking.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about Florida. We've talked a lot about Colorado, but that game, week 3 in Fort Worth, I mean, that'll really, I think, tell you early on what kind of team this UCF team will be. We talked about, Gus maybe being good for a couple of losses a year. If they start off with a win at TCU, Trace, then I think this sets up to be a really good Knights team. But I think that's going to be an important game on the calendar. I know we're all focused on Colorado. We'll see tomorrow here in that team, and obviously focused on Florida, but TCU, I think, sneaky game that's going to really tell us a lot about this Knights team, and maybe even tell the conference a lot about, who's really good and where everyone stacks up at.
Well, let's hear some of the sound from the first day of Big 12 Media Days.
How do you feel about coming to UCF to play this year?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a great venue. I mean, I was at Louisville. We came down and played there, and it always has some great student support and great fan support, and the bounce house is loud. So we're looking forward to going down and playing. That point in time when we go down, and it's always a big game. You're talking about two teams that came in together. Obviously that's to me it's a great rivalry that we have going with that that program. We got a lot of respect for it.
One, UCF's got new quarterback this year, KJ Jefferson from Arkansas. He's a quarterback you haven't seen before, playing in a scheme playing in a scheme that's different than he's played in before. How does that affect your preparation?
Like for us, when we play UCF, we'll have several games under the belt, so we'll be able to go and break those games down and kind of see what they're doing. Because I think each and every year, the great coaches utilize their talent. Like whatever they do well, then that's what we're going to let this guy do. So I think probably with KJ, whatever his talents are, they're going to try to unleash those talents. And so once we come time to play those guys, then we'll have a good breakdown of what he does well and what we're going to have to try to defend. I do know this. He's a big kid. He's talented. He can throw. I mean, he's played as much football as anybody in the country. So we'll have a work cut out for us.
There are 3 guys that transferred away from Cincinnati and are on UCF's roster now. Does the fact that your former teammates are now on a team you're going to face, does that affect you in any way or motivate you?
I'm always motivated, I'm happy for those guys because they felt that they needed to go somewhere else. So I'm happy that they found a place that they fit in and that they're gonna do great at. So I'm just happy for those guys, and I can't wait to compete against them. Those are my friends, regardless of what uniform they have on.
UCF this year. What's your perception of the Knights program as they've come into the Big 12 after the first year?
Yeah, I think that the first thing I would say is just my respect for Coach Malzahn. I mean, I think you're talking about one of the best coaches in our era. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's had success wherever he's been. He's a proven winner. And then you watch his team play. I got to watch a little bit of the Oklahoma game last year. It was our bye week, and just how tough that football team played in Norman. And I their season had some really great highs, and kind of looked like they were trying to work through the adjustment and coming into the Big 12. But man, a really athletic, really talented football team.
Well, quite a bit actually, because when I was at SMU, we played those guys, and so pretty familiar with them. I think that they're going to have a different team now than they did then, just in terms of recruited at a higher level, and with the Big 12, kind of banner behind them. But his teams are always going to be athletic. They're going to be fast. They're always going to have good skill. They're going to challenge you from a scheme perspective. Going to be well coached. Gus's teams are always well coached, and an exciting team. So should be a heck of a game for us. We're going to have to play really well to have a chance to beat those guys, but they'll have a very good football team, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's important to start off strong. Build confidence as a team as the year goes, and you want to start off as strong as possible. And for us, that's getting a win there in that first conference game. So in order to do that, we're going to have to bring our A game and execute at a high level. UCF's a great team. They have a lot of speed down there in Florida, and so we're going to have to play our best football.
What do you expect to see out of them?
Shifts, motions, unbalanced tempos, quarterback run game, quarterback run driven, and tricks.
What is it about Gus, and I asked this, what is it about Gus that stands out to you as a coach?
Yeah, he's meticulous, and he believes in what he believes in. And, some people say don't ram a square peg into a round hole, but he's going to turn the round hole into a square hole because he's going to be convicted over a philosophy, and he's going to keep banging it until it goes through.
When camp gets underway, what are you most looking to learn about your team?
Expect to learn about our team?
Yeah, what do you still need to learn about your team?
Not really sure. I think I like where we're at right now. I feel like I know a good bit that we should know, especially with these workouts that we've been doing. They've been challenging, and people have been showing up and doing everything that they need to be successful. So I think we're right where we need to be.
Does that make it a little more exciting for you, all the new programs that have come into the conference?
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm going to Orlando. You got Disney World over there. You got Whataburger in Texas. You got all the food places.
All right, we're joined now by the third member of our team here at Big 12 Media Days, Robert Aronoff. Robert, what have been your observations of day one at Big 12 Media Days?
I thought the coaches were, I recall the comment from Herm Edwards, they are who we thought they were. Everybody's excited this time of year. Everybody has a team that's cohesive. Everybody is, ready to get going. And everybody is optimistic, and you saw that come through. One of the most interesting things to me was I asked a lot of these coaches about their thoughts on UCF and Gus Malzahn. And there were a lot of very complimentary things that were said. Nobody's going to give us bulletin board material at this point, but I thought it was worth listening to.
Yeah, day two on Wednesday will feature head coach Gus Malzahn and several Knights players. No doubt it'll have the same rhythm and themes as day one, Hope Springs Eternal. But remember, Knights projected middle of the pack in the Big 12 from the preseason media poll.
Yeah, this is a team that Gus has talked about for a long time, that he thinks he's got all the pieces, Trey. So I'm curious to see how he talks about that in the media tomorrow. And the players, too. R.J. Harvey's going to be here. A lot of talk today. We heard a lot of Ollie Gordon conversations today, a lot of top two running backs, and R.J. Harvey was not mentioned. I want to see what that chip on the shoulder looks like. I want to hear him kind of talk about where he thinks he falls in the Big 12 running back rooms.
It's interesting, Brett Yormark, the Big 12 commissioner, talked about the big brands in this league, right? And there was a question now with Texas and Oklahoma leaving the league. Who emerges? Oklahoma State certainly wants to be one of those programs, but it is wide open not only this season, but who takes the mantle in the Big 12 going forward?
Yeah, and I think there's an opportunity to really grab that momentum and move forward with it. And I think UCF is really poised to do well in that arena in terms of having a coach like Malzahn, having a size school we have, having the exposure that we've had, and, the content team that puts our best foot forward in so many different ways. I think there's an opportunity for us to become a star in this league as long as we start and continue to get better and perform on the field.
I think it's all wins, right? Whoever's winning right now, I think that's going to be the team. Umar talked a lot about how he wants a November sort of competition around who's going to be in the title game, sort of a race to the finish, if you will. Whoever those teams are, I think positions themselves to be that next tier team. So if UCF can do that, they'll find themselves in that mix. But whoever wins, I think is going to be the teams that you're going to see take hold. Can UCF do that? I think that's the question we all want to see. But I think if they can, to Robert's point, I think they put themselves in that conversation.
I think we heard over and over again that there's respect for head coach Gus Malzahn. But again, UCF picked middle of the pack. Not as much respect coming off a 6-6 season with a bowl loss 6-7. I feel like there's still a lot of UCF, you got to prove it. You've got KJ Jefferson, you've got RJ Harvey, you've got a lot of talent coming back. UCF dipped into the portal. Boy, the talk of the portal was big across Tuesday. What Cincinnati said, 47 players have transitioned into this program. That's a lot of upheaval, and that's going to be the case across college football. These teams will change year over year, and with the addition of the new teams, it's a whole new look for the league year in and year out.
Well, that's what makes it tough to evaluate, right? Because you talk about UCF 6-7, but how do all these new pieces fit together? Nobody knows. So I think that's what makes it tough for people to evaluate. What does that mean for UCF? Are they going to be good on paper? You talk about KJ Jefferson, a lot of the pieces, but no one's seen this team actually play together. So I think you're going to see a lot of that going forward. You just don't know what you have.
Yeah, that's interesting because Cincinnati's head coach Satterfield was asked about that. He said, I don't even know really about my team. How do you know? Yeah. How does a member of the media know that we're going to be 9th or 12th or whatever? We don't know what we have just yet. And that's what makes this time of year so interesting. Day 2 of Big 12 Media Days, concluding here at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas with UCF featured. So we'll have opportunity to talk to UCF players as well as the big star of the show will be Deion Sanders. Imagine we should have been at Circus here in Las Vegas for that circus sideshow.
Yeah, primetime is going to be here, and we're going to try to get an opportunity to get as much time with him as we can.
Good luck with that.
And
500 members of the media here at Allegiant Stadium.
I have my ways.
It's going to be tough, though. Mike Gundy was a good soundbite today. I think right now he's the top coach in terms of funny soundbites. It's going to be tough to see if you beat Mike Gundy, but I think Deion, we'll see what we get. Will he wear sunglasses is the question.
It's an interesting day in which Gus Malzahn shares the big stage here at Allegiant Stadium with Deion Sanders over the course of the day. Who will generate the most headlines? My guess, it'll be Deion. All right, for Robert Aronoff, Adam Eaton, I'm Trace Trolko. Go Knights!
Charge on!